right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to SSA Past, Present, and Future. I am your host and Vice President, Daniel Alonso. With me today is President Amy Rushing, Secretary Mary Saffel, Treasurer Mike Miller, Past President Joshua Youngblood, Professional Development Committee Chair Lily Carroll, and the Chair of the State Partnerships Outreach Committee, Abby Weiser. Amy and Lily are going to talk today about what SSA has done over the past year during the pandemic. Then we'll hear from Mike about the current state of SSA's finances. And finally from Abby and I. Abby will talk about her project with Spock, and I will talk about the upcoming SSA internship program. Afterwards, we will take questions from the audience, as in the traditional custom of PPF. Okay, go ahead, Lily, take it away.
Okay, great. Thank you, Danielle. Can everyone hear me? I'm good. Thumbs up. Yes. Okay, great. So I'm Lily Carroll, and I'm the chair of the PDC, and I'm also an archivist in Houston, Texas, which is a museum. The Minnell Collection, a museum in Houston, Texas. Apologies. So this morning, I'm going to share with you a brief by the numbers update on the workshops offered by SSA and PDC during 2020 and 2021. Needless to say, we had a lot of adapting to do, but before I share an overview of the workshops, I want to take a moment to acknowledge and thank the many people involved in making SSA's professional development opportunities a reality. A lot goes into planning, organizing, and executing workshops, from ideas and logistics to technology and finances, facilitators, and of course, the trainers who prepare and present to us. So many people deserve our thanks. I'm not going to read everyone's name here because I'm surely will inadvertently leave someone out, but I do want to highlight the members of the PDC committee, Amy Allen, Samuel Ayers, Jennifer Green, and Dylan McDonald. My thanks to all of you for your hard work this year. I also want to extend our thanks and appreciation to Lynn Livingston for all of her work on the 2021 Local Arrangements Committee, and to SSA President Amy Rushing, Vice President Daniel Alonso, and Diversity and Outreach Committee Chair Aisha Khan for spearheading our co-presented sessions. On a personal note, I want to thank my partner, Joe Luke, who's also an archivist here in Houston. He supported me through all of my stress and nervousness for the many PDC workshops the past several years. He's done a lot behind the scenes to help, including designing this presentation. So my thanks to you, Joe. Okay, getting into our workshops. So in 2020, we had 4 really great in-person workshops planned for the Denton annual meeting, which were of course canceled. Despite not meeting in person, we still wanted to offer opportunities to SSA membership. Taking into account the limited, or now more likely non-existent funding, we decided to exclusively offer donation-based workshops in 2020 and 2021. The first level of our donation-based workshops is always no cost. This model was piloted in 2019 at the Tucson annual meeting, and we found it very successful in covering our costs. In a virtual setting, our only costs have been trainer honorariums, and we've brought in donations to cover these. Trainers from 2 of our workshops planned for May 2020 kindly agreed to adapt their content to a virtual setting, and we hosted a copyright workshop and a beginner's guide to digital preservation, which were attended by 85 people and brought in $775 in donations. Our model for annual meeting workshops for the past 2 years has been putting out a call for proposals for peer-led half and full-day workshops. For 2021, we received 3 proposals and accepted all of them. One was offered in April, which was a second iteration of our digital preservation workshop. And last Friday, we hosted 2 workshops on grant writing and responsive archival instruction in a global pandemic. While turnout to these live sessions was disappointing, we only had a combined 29 people attend those sessions. We still received $945 in donations, and the workshops were both recorded and will be freely available on the SSA YouTube channel. So thanks to the SSA community for their extreme generosity. In addition to These workshops, PDC also co-partnered with the Texas Digital Library to present Archivists at Home, which was moderated by Amy Rushing. And that was at the beginning of the pandemic shutdown in April 2020 and was offered at no cost. PDC also helped facilitate initiatives led by Amy and Aisha Khan, including a virtual discussion with folks involved in the documentary film Changing the Subject, as well as Foundations of Culturally Sensitive Metadata. Together, these sessions were attended by approximately 200 people and brought in $700 in donations. So finally, PDC and SSA are always interested in hearing from our membership about ways we can support you in your professional development. We welcome all ideas, suggestions, and feedback. So if you're interested, we invite you to take a moment to fill out a one-question, very brief, informal survey. And Danielle's going to drop that link into the chat for you to go to and fill out. Or please email us at pdc@southwestarchivists.org. We are also looking for new members. So if you're interested in joining us with the work that we do, we'd love to hear from you at that same email address. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Lily. And next up, we'll hear from Amy if she has anything to add.
Yeah, I'll just say that it's kind of amazing how far we've come in the last year with providing online and virtual workshops. I know last year this time and when we hosted, well, it was a little later when we hosted the Past, Present, Future from last year, but just, you know, we were all thrown into Zoom and Teams and Google Hangouts and all of that stuff. And now I kind of feel like I'm a pro. Lily, you're totally a pro. So I think it's really great because it offers opportunities that, you know, the donation-based workshops is, I think that's really amazing. And as Lily was saying that, you know, a lot of people's professional development fund has been cut in half or just completely cut and can't travel. So I think one really, one upside, might be the only upside to the pandemic, is that more people are able to attend. And also it gave us the opportunity to collaborate with other organizations. So as Lily said, in August, we I co-hosted with TDL a session called Archivists at Home, and it was based on the SAA's accessibility and disability section. They had put together a document, crowdsourced document about work that could be done at home. And I think that was a really cool idea. And I know TDL is interested. TDL is the Texas Digital Library. If I didn't say that, I apologize. They're really interested in trying to do more sessions that are geared towards archivists. So that was fun. And then also being able to screen the Change the Subject film. So we had it where people could watch it on their own. We provided the link, and then we had a discussion with the filmmaker and one of the film subjects, and that was a really great, it's a really great opportunity to be able to talk to them about their experience. Also with the Foundations of Culturally Sensitive Metadata, this is a topic that we heard in last year's Past, Present, Future that folks are really interested in learning more about. So we thought it would be good to start with a Foundations session, workshop, webinar, I guess, Foundations webinar, and then we're hoping that we can build on that perhaps this year. And that one, registration was full in less than 24 hours. So we know that this is a topic that everyone is interested in. And then the last thing was SAA reached out to me. So again, another example of collaborations with other organizations. SSA Acquisitions and Appraisal section reached out to see if I would be interested in co-hosting what they call Third Thursday Chat. And it's a different topic. every third Thursday. And the one that I co-hosted was about DEI topics in relation to acquisitions and appraisal. So we utilized breakout rooms, and that there were some really great conversations that came out of that. And I enjoyed getting to know, I'm not that involved in SAA. Maybe I shouldn't say that in a recorded webinar or a recorded session, but it's true. I'm just being honest. I need to get back in it, but it was really great to get to meet people from all over and just to hear what they're doing. So that's about all I have to say. I really enjoyed working with everyone this year. It's been a hard year, but we're all, it's a great team, a great, it's volunteer. And I really appreciate all the work that everyone, all the committees have and the officers have done this year. So I definitely could not have done it with anything without them. So thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Yeah, we're all struggling to stay involved, but we're here. And I think that's 80% of the way there. Okay, up next, we're going to hear from Mike Miller, our outgoing treasurer, on SSA's finances for the past year and the future. Take it away, Mike.
Thanks, Daniel. And I can't tell you how much I like the word outgoing. I am ready for to turn this over to someone new. Good morning, all. It's glad to see everybody here. Looks like we have almost 80 people showing up, which is wonderful. We were just talking before this that when we do these in person, often we get like 5 people to past, present, and future. So it's great that we have so many people showing up this morning to listen to us. Bottom line, SSA's finances are in great shape, and they have been for a while. I am not going to claim any credit for that, but we've been in a good position lately. What I will claim credit for, because it was my goal when I became treasurer, was to redo our whole endowment process and all of our trust funds to make them actually work better for us. And I am pleased to announce that we've gone from getting about $1,000 a year out of our endowment trust to close to $8,000 a year that we have in spendable income from that, which now they do fully fund all of our scholarships, including we pretty much tripled our scholarship offerings this year, which was a great step. And because of how some operations have happened over the last couple of years, we've been working with surplus funds almost every year. And so when we set the budget for the fiscal year, our fiscal year runs May 1st to April 30th, for those who don't know. So it's kind of weird that we have our annual meeting like 3 weeks after the fiscal year starts, but that's the way we're set up. So when we set the budget for the year that we're in now, we had started with about 14,000 and change in surplus funds that we could either reinvest in our trust accounts or do other things with. 5,000 of that had been held in reserve for the 50th anniversary. So quick plug, don't forget next year in Houston is our 50th anniversary, and there's gonna be a lot of partying going on. So show up in Houston next year, it'll be fun. But beyond that, that still left us about 10,000 that we had to play with to start some new initiatives. And I know that Daniel and Abby will be talking about 2 of those here in just a moment, ways we decided to spend that money. But just so y'all know, so I can kind of think about the future, for this year, we budgeted to get no income from this conference, including we budgeted that they didn't have to pay back the startup funds. But it looks like this conference, because of how it was set up, that SSA will realize a net profit of about $8,000 to $9,000. So when the next year's budget is set, when the new board sets that budget, SSA is going to have there's going to be some opportunities for some other initiatives to start. So I would just like to close by saying, things that you think SSA could be doing that you never suggested because you thought it would cost too much money, now might be a time to suggest some of those ideas to Daniel and see what can happen in the coming years. So I don't know if you want to say anything else, Daniel, but that kind of outlines kind of where we're at.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Mike. All right. So as Mike said, we have money, we have funding, we're going to use it. And so to talk about the State Partnership Outreach Committee's project for the coming year and hopefully long-term is Abby Weiser. Take it away.
Good morning. I'm Abby Weiser, Archivist in Special Collections at the University of Texas at El Paso, and the current chair of the State Partnerships and Outreach Committee, aka SPOC. Daniel asked me to share our vision for SPOC for the coming year, but first I wanted to briefly describe SPOC's purpose in case anyone isn't familiar with the committee. Simply put, SPOC encourages archival professionals to reach beyond our own professional groups and present at historical, genealogical, and other conferences that attract users of archives and potential donors of archival material. These activities should promote archives in the archival profession. The idea was that we're really good at promoting archives and our institutions to each other, but that we really need to reach out to other disciplines. Since the session is past, present, and future, I also wanted to briefly mention our committee's history. The idea for SPOC started in 2015 after the Texas State Historical Association's annual meeting in Austin, when two members of SSA and the TSHA Archives Committee, Marion Barber and Mike Miller, discussed the relationship between TSHA and SSA. Specifically, SSA's ongoing sponsorship of a TSHA session since 1986. This conversation engendered the idea for an SSA committee that would facilitate partnerships based on the TSHA SSA model throughout our region. After a stint as an ad hoc committee, SPOC became a standing committee in 2017. Currently, we promote opportunities to present at meetings and conferences of allied professionals via our SPOC resource page and our calendar, which are available on our homepage on the SSA website. We have also presented about the committee at SSA and SAA, and in 2020, SPOC members, along with Morgan Geringer, co-authored an article about SPOC, which was published in Archival Outlook. Now to the future. SPOC is committed to its original goal of establishing partnerships between SSA and state and/or regional historical associations. To that end, SSA created the State Partnerships and Outreach Fund in 2021. This fund helps cover SSA members' costs up to $600 when presenting at academic and professional meetings of allied professions. The fund is also to be used for SSA session sponsorships at state or regional historical associations' annual conferences. And for more information about the fund and how to apply, please visit the SPOC webpage. Going forward, we hope that these funds will facilitate additional partnerships between SSA and allied professions in our region, as well as help SSA members promote their institutions and collections through presentations at non-archives conferences. We consider this archival advocacy work and look forward to supporting SSA members' outreach efforts. Shaylon Woods, archivist at the Ernest J. Gaines Center at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, will be taking over as chair of SPOC in June. So please let us, either of us, know if you have any questions about SPOC or the SPOC Fund. I wanted to say a big thank you to everyone on SPOC for your hard work the past year. I'm really proud of what we accomplished. And just to conclude, if you're interested in getting involved with SPOC, we don't have a member from Arizona right now. So if you're from Arizona and are interested in joining, just send me an email or put your contact info in the chat. So thank you.
Thank you, Abby. All right, I'm gonna just briefly talk. The SSA internship program came out of an idea that I stole from the Northwest Archivists of decades ago, back in 2019. The idea is that SSA will fund 1 and maybe even 2 internships for students to work at an institution or community archives that cannot afford to pay an intern. This is part of a larger effort by the profession to move away from unpaid internships. The pandemic began right as we were about to begin work of fundraising for the program, and I kind of hemmed and hawed for a couple of months about what to do, and eventually I just didn't do anything. So it didn't seem like it was a good time to fundraise, and it didn't seem like it was a good time to maybe send students out into the field. At that time, I hadn't thought that people would be doing internships remotely like they have been and like they will this summer. As Mike reported, we have money to fund the program. We have $5,000, so we're hoping either 1 really good internship, possibly 2 sort of normal paid internships. And now we're going to spend the next couple of months working out the mechanics, how the program will work and all the logistics of it. We'll spend the fall months advertising the program, both to institutions and to students. And then in January, we'll open those, we'll release those applications. And if all goes well, the first students will head to their internships in the summer of 2022. So it's a very, very brief, summary of what we're trying to do, what we're going to do. And with that, that is the end of all of our prepared remarks. And if anybody has any questions for us, you can drop a bit in the chat, or you can just unmute and ask your questions. I did, by the way, Donna and John, I did get that idea of partnering with ATOM to do some community archives workshops, and I will write it down and we'll get together and hopefully something will come of it. Let's see. I'm looking in the chat. I'm not trying to see if there's.
Well, I can say
questions.
something about ATOM since
Okay, go ahead, Jerry.
I've been involved in hosting a table for SSA at ATOM. I think it would, I think workshops would be a really good opportunity. I mean, they work with Rebecca Elder a lot, and so I think a lot of the workshops are hands-on. So, maybe things like social media or it's not just archives, it's museums, libraries, and archives. So, thinking about what skills we have in archives that can be shared, but very, definitely hands-on on practical thoughts. There is a cultural barrier, or maybe I should say we need to be aware of the cultural differences on both sides. But I think Melissa and, I can see her face, would be very open and happy to have us work with them.
Thanks, Jerry. Does anyone have any of the things they would like to add or questions they have? No. Well, with that, oh yes, Melissa Gonzalez is asking which Melissa, Jerry. She can do that in the chat. Okay, with that, I'm gonna just bring this meeting to an early close, unless anyone has anything else to add. Going once, going twice. Oh, there you go. Covered it. Will the future annual conferences be delivered using hybrid methods? That's a really good question. So I reached out to the Houston 2022 group, and because they signed a contract with that hotel 2 years ago, they are contractually obligated to follow that contract, which does not currently include any kind of hybrid, but they are open to doing it, and it really just depends on the how much it costs and how much the hotel's going to try to gouge us. There's some low tech DIY methods that we could investigate. I have my own idea, but I don't know how workable it is. But yes, I I think that everybody agrees in some way that this is the future, that we're going to have to incorporate some kind of remote availability of future annual meetings. And what I'm saying is that I can't guarantee that it'll happen in Houston because it wasn't thought about 2 years ago, but we'll certainly try to encourage the next couple of meetings in the 2023 in Albuquerque, and then the 2024 in a unknown place yet, possibly in Texas. Yes, we could offer them, wait, sorry, I'm trying to read the chat. Yeah, they're all just good, helpful comments. But yeah, I hope I answered that question in the least rambly way. I guess the short answer is yes, we hope to. That's it.
I have something. Don't forget to fill out the 1 question survey about what professional development opportunities you'd like to see. There is, oops.
Wrong one.
And Slotto, yes, tomorrow, Slotto. Also, don't forget to buy your tickets and bid on the silent auction items. Can entice you with a chicken purse. It's legendary. You need to go check it out. If you are wondering how to get to the Slotto tickets and the silent auction, if you're on the actual, not the hub, but the conference page that you can get to from the SSA website, in the drop down menu on the left, you can go down and find the Slotto, and it'll take you to the page.
I also briefly want to mention tomorrow our annual business meeting is happening. In the virtual hub, there is an agenda attached to that event. So you can look at the agenda. There's a link in the agenda to the meeting minutes from last year's business meeting. We're going to vote to approve those. So if you want to take a look at those, it is in the agenda. And then we also have the fiscal year budget that Mike talked about. That is viewable as well from the virtual hub. If you go to the business meeting event, you should see those 2 documents. So take a look at those before the meeting tomorrow.
I also wanted to put in 2 more plugs. One is for traditionally in the business meeting, there's a big pitch for the annual meeting for the year after. Next year will be in Houston in person, because again, we signed a contract years ago and we have to meet in person. But I'm really hopeful that so many people will also join us for that. And it will be the 50-year anniversary of SSA. And John Slate will have some words and some slides to plug that tomorrow. Okay, thank you all for coming. If anyone wants to jump in, please do. And if not, I'm gonna count it down again. Going once, going twice. All right, see you all at the next session. Bye.